There is an idea out there that two negatives make a positive, both in math and in language, and this is an idea that we should talk about. This idea about two negatives making a positive goes back to the grammars of the 18th century. And from there, it got picked up in subsequent grammars to become something like a fact. Here's the problem. It's just not true. When Mick Jagger sings, "I can't get no satisfaction," we know that that does not mean that he is satisfied. No one would interpret that lyric that way. The fact is that English has a long history of using double or multiple negation, as do many languages around the world. Beowulf uses multiple negation, Chaucer uses multiple negation, you can even find double negation as late as Shakespeare. At some point, the standard language, the standard variety of English, started moving towards single negation, but many varieties of English still use double negation, along with, as I said, many languages. If you're a speaker of French, you know that to say, "I don't know," you say, "Je ne sais pas." The ne and the pas are both negative markers. They do not cancel each other out. In the same way in English, if you say, "I don't get tired," and "I don't never get tired," they both mean that tiredness is not my thing. Let's talk about this idea that the two negatives cancel each other out. People will often refer to math and say, well, in math, if you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. This is true. I have two responses to this. The first is, language is not math. The second is, fine, let's do math. It is true that in math, if you multiply two negatives, you get a positive. But if you add two negatives, what do you get? You get a bigger negative. So even if you want to do math, it's possible to see how two negatives do not cancel each other out. Now, there are instances where two negatives are put directly in opposition to each other. For example, I am not unhappy. Those two are oppositional, but I do have to note that they don't exactly cancel each other out, because when I say I am not unhappy, that is not the same thing as saying I am happy. I would say at best I'm neutral. I'm not unhappy, but I'm certainly far from happy. I hope that this history of double negation helps you see why in language two negatives don't necessarily make a positive, and that English has a long history with this construction, and double negatives continue to flourish in many varieties of English around the US and around the world. Don't buy into the idea that double negation is illogical, or the idea that I can't get no satisfaction means that I am easily satisfied.